The monthly review of POA board actions is produced and presented by the volunteers at Tellico Village Broadcasting.
Hello and welcome to Tellico Village Broadcasting. I am Carla Johnson and I am here with our POA board president, Bruce Johnson, for the POA board update. So thank you very much for being here and welcome.
Hey Carla, how are you doing?
I'm doing
well?
Great.
I hope
doing
so.
Great. How about yourself?
Doing well, thanks.
Good, good, good. All right, so the board meeting this month was chock full of great information. So let's just get right to some of the highlights from the meeting.
Okay, Carla, the first thing up was HOA. They usually come in and give us an update, and they did. This time it was a little shorter than normal, but it was still a good update. Basically, they're focusing right now on their membership drive. I could remind everyone out there that this is a great organization. You ought to be part of it. For the first time, I believe they said, in their history, they are now making an increase in their membership. But if you act now and you do it by credit card, as they say, it's still the same. So take advantage of that and join it. They do a lot of good work here in the village, give us great updates. They also reported that they are going to have a representative on the Committee of 100. A lot of people say, well, what's that? It's in Lenoir City, if you know, up near the where the 321, 444, and where all new work was done up there on the bridge and all. TVA has a lot of land that they're getting ready to do stuff on it, and like give it to the city of Lenoir City. But what they want to do was to appoint a committee, which they've done, that says how should we use this land, and so that the community, the greater community, can have input naturally, because we're right here at the doorstep of that. We wanted to have representation, so it was best for that to come through the HOA, and so they will have a rep on that group. And I'm sure as we go forward, they will keep us posted on what's happening up there, and they'll represent our interests as well. They also announced that they will have a social on November the 13th, and then I think they have their general meeting on November the 29th. Those are always full. The social, they have a lot of events for the village. Again, we really appreciate the HOA as an organization here in the village, and we think they serve us well, and we're glad they come in and give us updates.
And where do they hold their meetings?
Well, the social is at the bottom floor, floor 1 of the yacht club.
Mm-hmm.
My advice to you is, if you want to sign up for their activities, get there early, because number 1, parking fills up quick, and number 2, their social events fill up quick too. So the early bird gets the worm, as they say, so be there. And then they always have lately have their general meetings over at the Tellico Village Community Church. Mm-hmm. One reason why is because they record those and share with TVB, and we always put those out for the people who can't attend to be able to see what's going on. So that'll be November 29th, and that will be at the community church.
Great, thanks for that update.
Sure.
So then up next at the board meeting was CFO Parker Owen with his financial report. What did he have to share this month?
Numbers, numbers, and more numbers. I tell you, you just can't imagine the numbers that he throws out there. But Parker is on top of his game, as you well know, and he does a good job of keeping us posted on revenue. He said basically that our revenue last time he reported was some $200,000 plus above budget, so that's a good thing. He also reports on things like where we are with tank installations. That's indicative of our growth, and so this year through 9 months, I think we were at like 118 tanks that were installed versus, and we'd only budgeted for 96. So growth, it's a good projection, so that was good. He also, in that regard, talking about growth, talked about property transfers. That's where somebody has sold a lot, either the village or an individual that owned a lot sold it. And those transfers, again, as a measuring factor, it's a metric, if you will, for how we're growing. And that's running about 30,000 above budget. He also reported in maintenance area that we have postponed. You see this black stuff that they're putting down on the road, that's the sealant, preservative, if you will, for our roads. Extends the use of our roads by at least 5 years, maybe more. We're kind of playing out by a year because we're not a lot of history on HA5, but they say at least 5 years. That's what's guaranteed for. So we're measuring that, and we'll see. But there comes a time in the year where you can't put it down anymore. It just gets too cool, and we're getting toward that part. So it looks like Tellico Road, I believe, is going to be delayed until sometime in 19. But the rest of the work got done, but that's the one that he delayed. He reported that we sent out bids for the new Tellico Clubhouse and the Kahidi Community Center. We got those bids in. We had our architect who did the engineering drawings for both, Upland Design. They are evaluating those for us, and they'll come back, and I think we got 3 bids on each one. They will evaluate those bids and tell us which bid that they think and recommend that we accept. We're zeroing in on that. We need that so that we can put those in the 2019 and 5-year plan budgets, and so that's going well. I will mention that in that regard, as those bids come in on those contracts, we are planning a town hall meeting for both of those facilities. That town hall will be November the 12th. It will be at the Tellico Village Community Church. If you can't make that meeting, again, it will be filmed and we'll put it up on TVB. And so we're looking for a big crowd there because of all the interest over the years that we've been trying to get both of these done. It looks like it's going to come to fruition. And so, again, that'll be November the 12th, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock roughly at the Tellico Village Community Church. And so in that regard, I'll finish it up by saying Parker also kind of talked about the budget process that's going through. When I got here today, they go, well, which meeting am I talking about on this today? Because I've been in so many meetings recently on the budget, but the budget is taking shape. The Finance Committee has worked hard at it. The board has worked hard at it. We're beginning to, the rough edges that were in the initial submission are beginning to smooth out, and I think by the time we get to the 14th of November, when the board will approve that budget, that we'll be in fine shape.
Terrific. Well, it sounds like Tellico Village is having a record year. We have a lot of growth and have brought in more than we expected. So
what's the old saying?
All those are good
Tell
things.
them it's better.
And tell them it's better.
Right? Tell them it's better in
right.
Tellico Village, right?
That's right. And next up at the board meeting was AWE, our food service management company. Yeah. So what did Andy Fox have to report?
Well, Andy basically told us that things are looking great in all the clubhouses or all the restaurants, that the events are well attended, and that's good, you know. Last year during the budget season, we worked hard with Kahidi to make sure that we kept some type of good service down there, and basically what we did was we looked at the residents and said, it's kind of like that, if you build them, they will come. If you participate, then we will have fine service down there. And so that's the message, is to all the village. If you like the restaurants and you like it being available so you don't have to leave the village to have fine food or entertainment, then you need to support us. And if you do, then we'll keep the restaurants at the quality that they are now, and I think everyone will be happy. So he did say that everything is up. With regard to Tellico by itself, revenue is up there. Yacht club sales are up about 15%, and that's really, really good. And then in regards to the yacht club, that's the lowest. We had the lowest subsidy for the months that we've ever had in this village. And so, again, that goes back to you, the villagers, supporting us, and it goes to Andy and his team for keeping the cost down, but yet giving us a quality product. In Kahidi, which you're familiar with, Kahidi's sales are way up, and that has to do with all of the events that you folks have down there and the fact that you're supporting the restaurant down there. So we really appreciate that, because what that means is even the tight subsidy guidelines that we put on you folks last year to make that operational, you're driving that subsidy down even further, and that's great. That really is great. So last but not least, Tenassi. I was at Tenassi last night and had the prime rib special, But on top of that, I got to listen to some karaoke going on here in the village, and it was great. And those kind of things at Tenacity is why Andy says Tenacity is doing very well. And so I've witnessed it firsthand last night. And for you folks out there that have not participated in some of these events like that one, I strongly encourage you to do it. I think you'll be well pleased. So with that being said, I think we're doing great. I think this is going to be a very good year for our restaurants in the village, and we look forward to keeping that trend going next year, driving these subsidies down, having great. But I will mention one thing in closing about the restaurants is that the board voted recently for a 50 cents per drink increase in all of our alcoholic beverages starting January 1st. So, you know, that's not bad considering the last increase we had in beverages was well over about 10 years ago. So,
Goodness.
so it's just that time that we needed to look to see the impact that was having on our subsidies, and we realized that if it's time to make a change, and we did, then we'll drive that subsidy down further. I believe in the yacht club alone, that will drive it down like $30,000, I believe. So we're always looking to ways to lessen the impact to our villagers. We think that we could absorb another 50 cents per drink, and so we'll go with it and see where we go. But I think you'll see that by doing that, we've improved our financial status in that regard.
Excellent. Well, that was a really positive report from Andy about AWE. And I will say, just to add to what Bruce has said, our food service is good and getting better. And so if it's been a while since you tried one of our restaurants, I encourage you, go out and try it now, because it just keeps getting better and better. And I've just been really impressed with the food service here at Tellico Village. Good. So try it out.
Yes, agree with that.
So next up at the board meeting was Beth Kuberka with the marketing report. And what did she have to say?
I talked about the budget being numbers. Well, she throws them out there left and right, and I can't begin to tell you all the numbers that she talked about. I'll talk about a few, but I would encourage you, if you want to see the marketing report, it will be up on our website. So go out there and take a look at those. If you want to know like the impact of these tours that we have and whatnot, she's got it. She is on top of her numbers, I can tell you that much. So, but I will tell you a few of them that I was impressed with, like leads, meaning when these people come on the tours, we go out with our marketing. We have the magazines, which you're not doing as well, but we have websites. Our leads, meaning getting people to come here and look and whatnot, they're up 15% this year. So wow. They're doing a great job. Program sales are up about 12%, meaning sales that are directly related to our marketing program. They're up about 12%. Mm-hmm. Basically what I really was impressed with is net cost to owners, meaning the monies that they bring in through these program sales, as well as what it costs to run this budgeting group. Mm-hmm. It turns out to be, I think she said, about $14 per lot over the last 9 months. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty great.
And then last but not least, really, really good, is that she reported that there's been a 14% increase in home equity. 14%, which equates to, over the last 21 months or so, about $52,000 per home. So our marketing program is helping people with their equity. It's helping us to grow, helping us to remain vibrant. Naturally, Beth and her group are constantly looking at ways to keep that keep that market budget down. And to her credit, she's been able to do that over the last several years, and they're using their money effectively. So kudos to them, and we hope that our marketing effort will remain as strong as it has been.
Excellent. That's excellent news. So I know as a homeowner, that's excellent news.
Oh yeah, it's always good when the property value is going up. We right. like that.
So anyway, great news from Beth, and I know a lot of people may not understand the value of marketing, but with home equity increases that large, like we just talked about, I hope that they can appreciate the effort. So next up, was a talk of two foundations, one that is being designed and one that is already in the village. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, You know, with all that we've got going on in the village, with our infrastructure and the repairs, with the amenities that people want, you know, when people come in here from various places, they say, we had this where I came from, why can't we have that? Or, you know, we love this pickleball, but how come we can't have like 5 courts immediately? Or why do we have to have, why can't we have covered pickleball courts? So there's always this need to be progressive and to be growing and to have different amenities. But to do that, you need revenue. We can't just we can't go above a 5% increase in our assessment. People don't realize, but that assessment, not only does it help us keep up with inflation, it adds to our various revenue, you know, and reserve accounts so that we can do things. So what we realized over the last several years is we can't depend on assessments alone to get us where we want to go downstream. We're going to have private funding. And one of the ways that we've done private funding, perfect example is down in Kahidi, where Kahidi says, we realize the community, the Tellico village proper, that we can't have the things we want. So we'll raise money, and the Tellico village POA will help us get this. And so they're doing that by essentially funding the portico on the new structure that's planned for down there. Well, we thought, how's best we do that? And so Simon basically, in working up in Pigeon Forge and Sevierville, he brought this concept down for them where they have created a foundation to help with rec facilities. Well, we want to go beyond rec facilities. We want to do other things like other amenities. So he's gone out and he's talked to various people. One of the ones that came in and reported at the board was a lady named Carol Evans, I believe. And Carol is with the Legacy Parks Foundation up in Knoxville, and what they do for all these parks and where they get their money from, because Knoxville, like us, can't support that with all the other things they're going. So they've reached out and gotten endowments from their different places and contributions, if you will. And so she was telling us how we could do that. And the other thing is that with her, it kind of opened our eyes that maybe they can help us too. And so we'll look at that. Then he had this other guy come in named Bill Kegler. And Bill is from up in West Virginia. And he's in a little community called Wheeling up there that has like 30,000 folks. But they have, listen to this, they have like an endowment up there of about $300 million. And that's because they've reached out to big corporations and whatnot to get them to donate for them. So he was showing us ways that we can do this. And so Simon's taking all that information and looking to see if we should set up a foundation. If he sets it up, I think it's going to be called Tellico, Timeless Tellico, right? Mm-hmm. And the biggest difference between that and the other foundation that we have here that has been functioning for a year or so, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. But biggest difference is we're looking for things like not only endowments for people that want to leave and help us with our amenities, but naming rights, for example. Like, can you imagine having the marketing group over there called the Beth Kaburka marketing thing, because she gave us $100,000 or something like that. You just never know. So and you never know till you try these things, and that's where we want to go with that. But the other foundation, they don't get into that kind of stuff. And so what we've agreed to do is look at what they've done to see if we can work together. Because of the fact that they don't pursue naming rights and things like that, we will probably have both. And the other one, as I said, is Tellico Community Foundation. Joe Beal, good friend of mine, came in and talked to us about that. They've been operational for a year or so, and they have some various groups here in the village, like the choir group, Tellico Singers, I believe they're called. They've made donations to those. They've made donations to the fire department. They've made other donations. So they're beginning, they're growing. They were very small. They got some contributions. And those basically, that's where we as villagers may, donate some money there. We get a tax break, and then after that, the community benefits from it. So I strongly encourage you to support that foundation. And they're doing a great job. And if you want to know more about it, I think they have literature around the village, but call Joe Beal. He's in and his name is Beyel. And so my southern accent here, it comes across as Bill, but it's not. It's Beyel, I believe. So look him up in the phone book and give him a call. I'm sure they would appreciate it. So good organization they have there. So we'll continue to work with them, and hopefully we can get things ironed out between the two.
It sounds like both are good ideas,
Oh, yeah.
right? And so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to hear how all of that works out and,
Yeah.
and what we do going forward. I'll be watching that.
There you go.
So, so next, the board approved a couple of items.
We did.
So what
We-
was on the slate?
Other than all the enjoyment we have of getting these reports and these updates, we do have business to take care of, and so we took care of some business. You know, we spent about the last year and a half or so trying to get our procurement policy done. We did, and we thought we had put it to bed, and nope, we didn't. It was pointed out to us that there were some references in there to some state laws, if you will, that that we didn't need in there because we don't use those, so we're not subject to them. So our lawyer, after looking at it, it's some of the appendices, whatnot. He says it'd be best if those were taken out so there won't be any confusion. So it was a minor editorial type revisions, no changes to us as to how we're going to operate, et cetera. So we took that out, and the board voted 7-0 to approve those changes. The other thing that we had is what I mentioned earlier. We had to approve. Basically, we had been talking about it. We approved it last April to do it, but then we didn't set the amounts, and that was on the drink prices. We agreed and voted 7-0 to increase the drink prices effective 1 January to 50 cents per drink, if you will. But that's beer, wine, and hard stuff, if you will.
Cocktails, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And that was approved
7-0.
7-0.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's the first time we've done that in 10 years. So it was time. It was time for us to do it.
It's time. So next up, you got to hear some of the Wellness Center master plan proposal.
Yep.
So what did you all decide regarding that proposal?
Well, that's been a hard nut to crack, and well, we did it. A few months back, Simon came in and said that he wanted to do a master plan for where we're going with the Wellness Center, and so the board questioned him then and said, we think that we have the ability here in the village to do that without going out of the contract. And so we gave him a list of questions and said, answer these questions and it will tell you and it will tell us as to whether we need to do this or not. So we asked him to come back. He came back, but we didn't get all the answers we wanted. And so we said, let's do it again. And so in the meantime, though, what we've come with is the Long Range Planning Advisory Committee has stepped up and said, we do this kind of stuff, you know, this is our forte, and so we will help them. We will help the rec department. We will help them do a strategic plan for the Wellness Center by itself, and so we'll see. I think they can do it. I think that their ability to do those kinds of things, coupled with the knowledge and experience that Simon has, that we can get that done. And so, again, relying on the expertise that we have on in the village, just like we did with PSAC. You know, we put a lot of members on the PSAC this year on our advisory that have the experience from jobs that they did before, and they bring that here. And so as a result of all that experience that we have, we're able to do things here in the village with no cost because people volunteer their time and effort. So this is another prime example where a group coming together has said, yeah, we can reduce this cost by doing it in-house, and so we'll give it a shot and we'll see where it goes. But I think personally, knowing the parties involved, it will happen. So.
Wow. Well,
Yep.
It sounds like you covered a lot of territory in the last board meeting.
Well, I have a couple things that I wanted to say that one
All right.
that little surprise for you, I guess, and that is that we are in the middle of budget season. We've been doing this now for about a month. Again, we're getting very close to a good budget, I think. A lot of input, a lot of good ideas. They are working hard for you villagers, and we will get that out, and that will be approved on November the 14th.
So anyway, Bruce, thank you very much for
Yep.
being here, for giving
Enjoyed
us,
it.
as always, a good detailed overview of what happened at the board meeting. And to you viewers, thank you very much for tuning in to Tellico Village Broadcasting, and have a great day.